Corazón,
tú dirás
tú
lo que
dirás lo que
hacemos.
hacemos, lo que resolvemos.
Oh man, party people, I'm sure y'all can hear me, but I'm having a little bit of a delay. Give me 1 second. There we go. Well, what's the show if there isn't a couple of hitches here and there, right? How's everybody doing? Hopefully everyone's having a good day. I am so excited because today is a very special episode featuring someone very special to me now. I've had the opportunity to get to know him a little bit personally. We've had some very good conversations. So first off, welcome everybody to the show. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. Let's see. Going to go ahead and log on to the Facebook so we can get it going. All right. We'll take that one off, and we'll take that one off, and let's go ahead and get her started. All right, mi gente. So, again, we have a very special guest today. I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. So, I actually made a very special video for our very special guest today. So, without further ado, here we go. Armando Hinojosa, a pioneer for Tejano music, for not only the keyboards but the accordion as well. Born on March 29, 1950, Armando seemed to already know that he wanted to be a musician. Yes, that's right. Armando started at a very young age, so he has been playing music since then. So today, I am honored to welcome Armando Hinojosa, a founding member and keyboardist of the iconic group Los Fabulosos Cuarto, as we take a deep journey into the history of the group and everything that came with it. All right, welcome Armando. Thank you so much for joining us today. Man, I mean, it is so exciting to have you here. Why don't you say hello to everyone that's watching right now and tell them something, a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my
My
name is
name is
Armando
Armando
Hinojosa.
Hinojosa.
I'm one
I'm
of
one of
the
the
founders
founders
of
of
Los
Los
Fabulosos
Fabulosos
Cuarto.
Cuarto.
We
We
started the
started the
group
group
back
back
in,
in,
it was
it was
around
around
63.
63.
But
But
when we
when we
started
started
the
the
group,
group,
we
we
didn't
didn't
have a
have a
name for
name
the
for the
group.
group.
It
It
was
was
Carlos
Carlos
Guzmán
Guzmán
y su
y su
conjunto.
conjunto.
So
So
after
after
we
we
recorded the
recorded the
first
first
album,
album,
we
we
were
were
debating
debating
on
on
that,
that,
as far as getting a name for the group. And so we ended up, some friend of ours, a lot of people knew this guy or know who he was. Domingo Peña from Corpus Christi. He said, "Don't worry about it. I'll make sure you get a name." I said, "How?" But he had a radio show and a TV show también. So he said, "I'm gonna ask my audience to send in, some names." So he did, and we ended up with bags and bags and bags of letters, with names. And actually, we never. I mean, we almost. I think we went through all of them, but we didn't like any of the names. So we were back to square one. So around that time was when the Beatles were, I mean, they were going like full blast. I mean, like uh, as far as popularity, right? Este, so somebody over here, I think, in the United States were calling them the Fab Four. So when we heard that, the Fab Four en español, Los Fabulosos Cuatro, so yeah,
Wow. So
so
that's
that
how you
was,
came up with the name.
so that's where we got our name from.
Wow. See, now that's pretty cool because I mean, I don't think I would have, as many things as I looked up about Los Fabulosos Cuatro, I don't think I found anything that told us like where y'all got the name. So that first of all, that is the coolest thing, and I'm honored you said it on my show. So you guys
Well, now
heard it
you know.
right here. You heard it right here where Los Fabulosos Cuatro came up with the name. So Armando, okay, so I want to know. Earlier during that little intro I had, there was a picture of you as a little boy with a big old accordion that was too big for him. And I just
Yeah.
have what was the story behind you in that? Was that your first ever like grupo? And how old are you?
Okay. Back then, I was when I was learning, I was like 4.5. So by 5 years old, I was already playing accordion, and so I was 5, and then there was this young boy. Well, he was older than I was. He was 15, and one of my uncles told my dad, "Hey, the this family, they have a young boy who plays bajo sexto. So should I have a talk to them with them? I mean, and ask if they would like to, or have their boy, accompany Mando, So my dad said, yeah, yeah, that would be great. So uh, we met, and so let me get to the bottom point is que that boy, 15 years old, and I was 5, was Mel Villarreal.
Wow.
So he started backing me up, with the bajo sexto. Everywhere I would go play, he was there, backing me up. And I don't know if you ever seen that picture donde estamos yo y Mel Villarreal. I'm with my accordion and Mel has the bajo. We're all dressed up with tuxedos.
Oh, yes. Oh man, guys, I wish I could pull that picture up for you. Y'all, so before we continue, you guys be sure to go and follow Armando because he has some really, really cool pictures on there of on his profile, and it is amazing. So that was you guys. That was y'all as kids. I mean, how when y'all took that picture, how old were y'all?
Uh, I was like 6, and Mel was 10 years older than I was. So he was like 16.
Wow. So in reality, you've been, well, let's see, you were,
Okay, that was, you want to know what year that was?
now, how long would you say you've been in the industry, you've been playing?
Well, I'm right now I'm 75. So I was 5 years old. That was 70 years ago.
Wow. Happy anniversary. Wow. I mean, what was it something you were always passionate about, or was it kind of just something that did you have family members that were musicians? I mean, what just made you this prodigy? Because you were a prodigy.
Uh, okay, my dad was the one who taught me, but he only knew 4 tunes.
Wow.
Only 4 tunes. That's all he knew. So he taught them to me, and so after that I learned them, he told me, "All right, mijo, that's all I know. So if you like playing the accordion, you're gonna have to learn on your own. You know. So he would buy me records from Tone La Rosa, Rubén Vela, and other accordion players that were around back then. And I would listen to their polkas and some waltzes, you know, stuff like that. And I would learn on my own. And
Wow.
so I played, anyway, I played accordion for about 2 years. So when I was like uh, seven and a half, probably, I got interested in the drums and how that came about. We were like five families, different families, and like once a month we all would get together at like our house, and then en la casa de Mel Villarreal, his family, and then one of the other families, and we would go, once a month, and Mel Villarreal had two uncles that were musicians, accordion and bajo, and whenever they would or we would have the barbecue at our house, I had a little truck, metal truck, and I would stick a towel in the back. It was all metal or como lámina. So,
Right.
and then that was my snare. And then my bass drum was a shoebox. I would take the lid off and put it upside down, put my foot on it to where I could do this, lift it up and down. So that was my bass drum. And
Wow.
they were playing, I would be like, hitting the shoebox or lifting it up and down and hitting the truck, that was my snare. So one day, one of them told my dad, hey, why don't you buy Mandito a drum set? Are you crazy? I mean, I just bought him the accordion, 2 years ago. But they told him, but have you been paying attention? I mean, like when we're playing, he's there, hitting that little truck and the shoebox, and he's keeping the time. He's not like out of time or. So my dad thought about it. So one day he said, "Okay, come on, let's go." It was like a Saturday, I guess, and where are we going? Well, just get in the car, let's go. So we went to the music store, and he told the owner, I'm looking for a drum set for my son, So he showed us around, and so I picked one of them, just a simple drum set, bass drum, snare, one tom, and two cymbals, that was it. And so I started, getting on the drums every day, every day, every day. So I started playing with a conjunto from McAllen, which was Ernesto Guerra. He was the accordion player. And so I played drums like for another 2 years. So when I was like nine or almost nine, Mel Villarreal and his family, they would go from McAllen, they would come up to Corpus Christi, you know, uh, when school was out. So those 3 months, their family would come up and they would pick cotton. So Mel had his bass and his amplifier, and they would board up the house, when they would leave. So this one time, he told my dad, Armando, can I leave my bass and my amp at your house? Because I'm afraid somebody might break in the house and they'll steal my equipment. So my dad told him, yeah, sure, yeah. So okay. So he left his bass and his amp at my house, our house. And when my dad would take off to work, I would take out the bass and the amp and I would put records on and I would, start messing with the bass and, well, how does this work? Okay, I know I gotta hit the string over here and you know, my fingers over here on the fretboard. So I started looking for notes, and I would listen just like I learned how to play the more on the accordion. I would listen and then I got the hang of it, where the notes were, on the bass. And then so I started following records. And one day I told my dad, Dad, will you buy me a bass? He looked at me like, I mean, first I got you the accordion. 2 years later, you want to play drums. I got you the drums. And now 2 years later, you want to play bass. He said, you don't even know how to play bass. And I told him, yes, I do. He said, where, how, who taught you? And I said, nobody. And then he thought about it and he said, oh, he's been playing on Mel's bass. So he said, show me. Okay. So I took out the bass, and the amp and put on a record and I started following the record, with the bass and all the way through the song. And I put another song and went through the whole song, a different group. And so my dad was there. Excuse my French, but my dad said, "Ah, cabrón," because he's like, man, he's been playing on the bass all this time. And anyway, so he said, you know what? Okay, I'll buy you a bass. So he did. He bought me a Fender Precision bass and the amp. It was they called it the color was blonde. It was a light uh, color, and they called it a piggyback because you had the speaker and the head was separate. So they called it the piggyback. Piggyback.
Piggyback.
So
So
I
I
started
started
playing
playing
bass
bass
at
at
when I
when
was
I was
9
9
with
with
Oscar
Oscar
Hernandez,
Hernandez,
the
the
accordion
accordion
player,
player,
que
que
anduvo
anduvo
también with
también with
Conjunto
Conjunto
Bernal.
Bernal.
So
So
when I joined, we had a bajo player who was Armando Salinas, que en paz descanse, and the drummer Pete Esquivel, Pedro Esquivel, uh, Carlos had joined the group, and then after about a year, Oscar decided to uh, get the bajo player out of the group, and he was gonna get a guitar player, which I did not like the idea because back in those times, all the guitar players played a certain position on the guitar where they would play the first string and you could hear that first string, like cutting right through you. And for that reason, I didn't like the guitar. And so Oscar told me, wait till you hear this guy. All right. So we took off there in McAllen and to the south side, and we got to this little house, and so we were there, and uh, Oscar was knocking, so somebody opens the door. So I freaked out. I said, "Wow, man, Oscar is gonna get a gringo playing guitar with us." You know, I was all freaked out. So, yeah, come in, listen there. He said something in Spanish, pásale. But I was, oh. So we went in, and Oscar took his accordion out of the case, and uh, the guitar player when I got his guitar, and so Oscar told him, "Okay, let's go with this." They had already practiced some tunes, instrumental. So they went over a polka, and I was there waiting for that ding, 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 and I never heard that. So I said, wow. I mean, this guy, he's not on those chords or position. He's not playing the first string, this. So
Armando,
anyway,
give me just
so
one moment. We lost connection to Facebook real quick. I'm gonna restart this broadcast real quick, okay? I need to make sure it connects because that's one of our main platforms. Hold
okay.
on.